Welcome to Codex, History of Video Games. My name is Tyler Hosby.
And I'm Mike Coletta.
And this week we are talking about a game that I am familiar with in the sense that I know that it exists, and I have known that it has existed for 20 plus years. Never played it. Champions of Norrath. Mike, though, you have played this game.
I have played this game. So we're talking about Champions of Norrath. It's a 2004 PlayStation 2 game based on the world of EverQuest. Have you played EverQuest?
I want to say that I have. I don't think that's true, though. It feels like a game that I have read so much about and just like absorbed so much about through being in this space for so long that I feel like I've played it, but I don't think I actually have.
Yeah, we need to have our friend Matthew back on that talks about MMOs to talk to us about EverQuest.
Maybe we should just play it.
We probably should just play it too and then talk to him, though. He's the resident expert. He writes books about it.
That's
true.
That's
all I say.
He literally wrote the book.
Oh, I forgot to look this up, but I'm pretty sure this is double check true. Hold on a second. This is super unprofessional of me, everybody. All right? Everyone, just relax a second.
I'm relaxed.
Are you relaxed?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is great. Thank you for telling me to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So there is, so the reason I'm glad I double checked this too. I meant to check this like 3 or 4 times and I forgot. Also, full disclosure, I'm still sick. Like, I was pretty sick last week, which is why we did a remaster. Like, if I make through this episode without coughing, it's going to be a miracle, okay? I'm hopped up on cold medicine right now. But
Is that what cold medicine does, hop you up?
It hops me up. You know, it gets me going. That Dayquil versus the NyQuil. It's the upper, yeah, you know what I mean? So, Okay, so this was recommended by Farls110 and then seconded by Burger Champ
in the Discord.
In the Discord. So I did an episode on Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, just the first one. There's 2, but I just did the first one. And then they mentioned Champions of Norrath, and I was like, oh wow, this is like Snowblind Studios' game after Dark Alliance. Because just some quick development history. What happened is, Snowblind made Dark Alliance, and they worked with Interplay to do that. And then they split, and Interplay did Dark Alliance 2, and then Snowblind Studios went and did Champions of Norrath, and then the sequel game, which is called Champions, I have it written down here, Champions Return to Arms. So both of which were for the PlayStation 2. So we're just talking about Champions of Norrath today, but I wanted to give a shout out to Farls110 and Burger Champ for talking about this in the Discord briefly, so we could do it. But anyway, let's get to the Grime facts. So as I said, it was developed by Snowblind Studios, published by Sony Online Entertainment. This is Sony's PlayStation exclusive game.
Okay, so this is an online game.
Well, it was an online game.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. So it was released on February 10th, 2004. Later in the UK, it wasn't okay. I should say this: it had online abilities, like online multiplayer was a thing.
Okay.
But it's still it also has couch co-op.
Okay,
so it's not like a MMO though at all. It was later reissued under the Greatest Hits label, but it has not. It's not been like have any modern remasters at all. It's pretty much only on the PlayStation 2 actually, and the best ways to play this game are PlayStation 2 with the original hardware, or emulation, which is what I did. So I used PCSX2, and you can offer you can get higher resolution. You can get retro achievements.
That's what it's all about for me these days. Yeah,
dude, the retro achievements are rad, and they
make
pop
it fun.
They just pop like normal achievements do. Like you would think they would. And I'm also gonna say, like, this game is 22 years old. Gonna be 22 actually in a month. So
happy birthday!
Don't feel bad. I'm looking into the camera when I say this. Don't feel bad if you play it on an emulator. You're not taking money from anybody. There's no way to buy this game new. There's no way to sure, you can go buy a used copy, but I think you can emulate it just fine. That's what I did. I don't think it matters. You know, I mean, we usually make the joke, and I'm going to make it still. You must have a legally obtained copy to play this game, much like I did.
We don't condone piracy.
We don't say all the 7 C's on this podcast. We don't do that. All right. Every time we do this podcast, Tyler and I take our eye patches off, remove our hook hands, and start recording. That's what we do.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, don't feel bad emulating this game is what I'm saying, because there's literally no way to play it. Like, one thing I really want is someone to take it over and like remaster it and just release it on PC. Because online multiplayer is dead. Like, it used to be a thing on this. It doesn't exist anymore.
Dead as in does not work anymore? Or
does not work anymore, including through the emulator. Because I looked. I couldn't find anyone getting this to work online on the emulator. Maybe
they
I
like
just
shut
didn't...
the servers down or something?
They shut the servers down. Maybe I just didn't look hard enough. It's not like what we could do with Dark Alliance, which I think is Dark Alliance 2, where you and I could go on original Xbox and use that remade Xbox Live service to play. I don't think there's anything like that for PlayStation 2 at all. I think it's just like...
we should dig into that. I would be surprised if there wasn't something like that, but I also would be surprised if there wasn't.
Because I looked for Champions of Norrath and there wasn't anything, and I thought I would find something.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe, hey, you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm looking in the camera. If I'm wrong, send us an email. Write it in Discord. Be like, Mike, you didn't look hard enough. We all know you researched poorly. That's what you could tell me. You could just insult me to my face, okay? Copies sold. This is again from VG Charts, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they're claiming it sold 1.28 million copies across all regions.
That seems like a lot.
That's a lot. And I don't know where they're getting those numbers from, and they don't tell us, and that bothers me. So, but I'm gonna say that's what it says. That's what the website says. Action. It's a genre of gameplay style. It's an action role-playing game, an ARPG, hack and slash. I'm gonna say Diablo-esque. If you want to throw in, if you only identify games by what other games they're like, you could say Diablo-esque. Or
Diablo-like.
Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance-esque, because that's what it is. This is pretty much just a better Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
Okay.
And I say better as in it is improved upon, is how I should say. Average time to beat, main story, 16 hours, which is a lot longer than the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance was. It is 23 and a half hours if you do all the sides. If you're a completionist, it's 38 hours.
Dang.
Which is a long time,
So you can 100% retro achievements this in 38 hours? I don't know if there are any ridiculous retro achievements or not.
So if you retro achievements this thing, so I looked at the retro achievements of it, because of course I did. I went on retroachievements.org and looked it up. And there are achievements for beating it on each difficulty as each class. So in theory, you'd have to play through the game 5 times.
If you beat it on hard, does it also give you the normal and easy?
I don't know.
That's a good games question. Do that.
Some games do that, and some don't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, not entirely sure how that works, but that's a really good question. Metacritic score. It's got an 85 out of 100.
It's pretty good.
From critics. Users gave it an 8.3 out of 10, which is still good. It's good all around. Yeah. Honestly, this game was really well received. It's just kind of dead as far as anyone doing the remaster situation, which is always like you never know, because I feel like 2020s has been the age of the remaster for video games, really. So that's what's going on. Let's talk about the gameplay, though. The game blends pretty much just your hack and slash combat of Diablo with RPG elements, which Diablo does too. I mean, there's not a big difference going on here, except it's really well done with the controllers. Like, I like the controls of this, just like I like Dark Alliance, where you got your buttons, you got your, you can quick assign spells to triangle and O, and then on top of that, your potions are triggers. So, like, you can fast react if your health is getting low, and that's like kind of the loop in a way, is like push my buttons while at the same time managing my mana and my health in the top left, and just like balancing all that. That's where like the game aspect comes from, I would say.
Sounds very Diablo-ish.
It's very Diablo-esque, yeah. Combat happens from a third person overhead. You'll cast spells. You loot so much. That's the one thing that surprised me just off the rip with this game, is just how many different kinds of weapons there are. And like, I was just expecting like bows, swords, maces, all that stuff. That goes way deeper. And according to worthplaying.com, there are, quote, more than 10,000 items randomly generated with the ability for players to create their own also. And they're saying create their own, but really it's more like, at least as far as I got in the game, you can get these gems that you can add on to the weapons to kind of modify them to your liking. I'm guessing that's what they mean. I didn't get to any sort of forge where I could build a weapon yet.
Yeah,
Again,
there's no
could be wrong.
3D modeling software, no
Yeah. Yeah,
animator.
this is Blender, just built in an early version of Blender. Okay, so there's also a lot of armor variation, and that actually does change the way your character looks, which I like, because, I think that's kind of a thing we all take for granted these days, is that when you put a piece of armor or clothes on in a game, it shows in-game.
Not
Older
all
games
games do
didn't
that.
always do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'd say
that's
even a lot of
something-
newer games don't really do that too.
Yeah. So this game does that though, and there's definitely a fashion-esque mini game as well. My wizard looks pretty dripped out right now as far as a wizard goes. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Speaking of wizards, I don't want to get there yet. I'm not going to get there yet. My overall impression of this game, let's talk about that real quick, is there is so much here. So we did an episode on Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance because I had nostalgia for that game, but Champions of Norrath took that and really ran with it, which makes sense because the same studio developed it. They're just like, we're going to take Dark Alliance and we're going to improve it in every way we can. And that's what they did. So I started playing as a barbarian. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Did I even get to the classes? I don't even think I did. There's 5 distinct classes. There's Barbarian Warrior, Wood Elf Ranger, High Elf Cleric, Dark Elf Shadow Knight, or Erudite Wizard. There's both male and female versions of each character.
The race is tied to the class.
The race is tied to the class.
Okay.
It's that old school RPG thing, which I know, like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, is like getting way away from that. But we're in 2004. This is 22
These
years
all sound
ago.
like D&D
almost.
classes and races.
It very much is. All those MMORPGs, they're all kind of borrowing from themselves, right?
Yeah,
So,
and they're all kind of borrowing from like high fantasy literature and stuff too.
Tolkien, yeah.
Mostly.
100%. So that's what's going on here. But so what happened was, let me tell you my little story. Is I started playing as a barbarian, but then I realized, you know what? I need to break out of my comfort zone because I always play a barbarian in like every single video game I play. Do you have a class like that where you always stick to it?
Yeah, the ranger is usually the thing that I am drawn to. I've been trying to recognize that now whenever I play games that where I pick the class and like not play ranger. Usually I end up devolving into some form of stealth archer. Especially in
stealth
Bethesda
archer.
games. Yeah,
Everyone loves stealth archer. So what I did is I was like playing as a barbarian, and I got like maybe halfway through the first act, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go switch back. And I was like, I had this idea where I'm going to go play all 5 classes and then pick the best one I like, which was really optimistic because honestly, I don't have time to do that. And so I picked Wizard next, and then I named him with 6 A's and an H because I just wanted to like name it something really quickly and not think about it.
you're just like, I'm not going to end up going with this anyway.
And I ended up running with it. That's
All
what I
right.
did. And so now me and are really going at it, and we're a champion of Norrath. The cool thing is you still do melee combat, but now you also have like spells. I'm assuming barbarians get abilities. I didn't get that far into it, but it took me an embarrassing amount of time to figure out how to reassign spells to like my quick bonus slot. It wasn't very intuitive, but I figured it out through the power of my gamerness. And I'm going to talk about this though. I got stuck. So the bosses in this game are interesting because the first boss, and when I say boss, I mean a named character that you have to fight that has a health bar that goes
Gotcha.
down,
That's like
right?
a big old bullet sponge.
Yeah. First boss I fought, named character, I got destroyed. Also had 2 bears with him, which just annihilated me. So I was like, oh, I'm under leveled. That's what's going on. So then I went and leveled up, and I came back and I smoked him. It was fine. But then the actual boss, the first time you fight the boss of Act 1, who's this like orc chief, essentially, does this long monologue and then proceeds to just whip out Dark Souls-esque moves on you where he's like just like spinning and like doing like it escalates so quickly. Like, and I got stuck and I could not beat this boss and I didn't know what I did. And then I looked at videos of people fighting this boss and I realized that I had not put any of my points into my character's speed and how fast they move.
Oh.
So I couldn't run away from him and there's no way to respec. So I kind of screwed myself up by doing that. So the workaround is I used a gaming cheat from the PlayStation 2. Not save state cheats. This is like old-fashioned button combo pushed together.
Oh, this is like a built-in cheat to the game.
A built-in cheat in the
Ooh.
game, so I could still get retro achievements. Watch out,
because you weren't you weren't doing trainers or like Game Shark stuff. Yeah.
No. I was pressing.
So it's not cheating.
I was
It's built in the
buttons.
game. It's not cheating.
It's built in the game. So what I did is this cheat is the only cheat in the game with the button combo I could find on GameFAQs. Is you hold these series of buttons and it just jumps your character to level 20, and it gives you. And my character was at like level 9 at this point, so it wasn't a huge jump, but it gives you all the skill points, like infinite skill points to use, which is kind of cool because that way I could then try spells that realistically I'm not going to get. So I got the fire spells and I got way more health and I just whooped the boss. Which
Is
was
20
good.
the level cap?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, it's not. I think you can go up to level 50 because there's an achievement for getting up to level 50 in any class. So I feel bad for doing it, but also it's definitely one of those games where you can build wrong, I would say. And not making it impossible. Like when I was slow, I got him down to like half health before I would die. But if you build wrong, you're going to make it way harder on yourself. And I didn't really feel like
games don't do that as much anymore. Like respecing is sort of like
yeah.
in. I like it because it encourages experimentation more than like having to just know the game so thoroughly that you don't make mistakes.
Yeah, which is weird because I feel like Dark Alliance, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, which I will continue to compare this to the entire time we talk about this episode, by the way, is very much like, yeah, you can build whatever you want, but it doesn't matter as much. You can still fight the bosses and stuff. In this, it was very much like harder, noticeably harder. But then what's weird is I cheat to get to level 20. I beat the Orc Chief. Then I get to the actual end of Act 1 boss where the Orc Chief shows up again and is like, yo, I can't wait for your slow and painful death from this giant spider monster. And then he leaves and you fight the giant spider monster. And just very much like, I'm going to get my cronies to do this. That's what he does. And then the spider comes out. The spider, super easy fight. Just run around in circles. Like, even without cheating, I barely got hit. Just like running around in circles, shooting spells at it, and then it died. That's all the spider boss was. Compared to this like war chief guy, it was just really a weird. It feels like the boss fight should have been flipped, in a way. But yeah, that's what happened. That's my story of Champions of Norrath. So right now I am in Act 2, and the game's kind of picking up. Different. It's called the Underground, the Underworld,
The Underdark.
So it's
definitely not Underdark.
So, dude, okay. So the first area is called the Feydark. Okay, and in D&D, it's Underdark and the Feywild, and it's like they combined them together.
Okay, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing here. Okay, all right.
And then the Underworld is like, you think Underworld, you're like, oh, it's gonna be like zombies and stuff, and so you get into the Underworld, and the opening cinematic hits, and you're walking through this area, and then there's these like barred rooms next to you, and as you walk down the stairs behind you, all these zombies come up and stare at you through the bars, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fight zombies. And then you get to the Underworld after the cinematic's over, and it's like, no, ants, we got a big ant problem down here, we gotta take care of these ants.
You're the exterminator. Sorry,
dude, these mammoth ants are everywhere.
The Donkey Kong guy. What was this?
Yeah,
Hank
I was
the
thinking of
Exterminator?
too. Yeah, I was thinking of him too. Is it Pete? I don't know. It's something
No,
like that.
I should remember it because we talked about it, but because his name doesn't matter at all in the game, I don't remember it. Stanley.
It was just so funny because it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fight some zombies, and then they're like, hey, this gnome's like, we got a crazy ant problem down here, dude. You got to help us out. And yeah,
Not
so
the
that's where
zombies?
I'm at.
No, ants.
No, it's way worse. Ants, mammoth ants specifically.
You know what this could do to our property values?
Yeah, no, it's really funny. It's. I'm gonna keep playing the game, by the way. Like, I didn't beat it, but I definitely want to keep playing it. I'm enjoying it, and it's got that old school silliness to it, you know. And Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance had this too, where you're like fighting a beholder, and you're like, I'm fighting a beholder, and I'm like, Act 1? Like, this is crazy. Like,
We should try to figure out the co-op on it. Even if we can do couch co-op, there are ways to make that like online.
Yeah,
on
that's
emulators.
you know what? That's probably what you have to do. So online services probably dead, but there's probably a way you can online through couch co-op.
Yeah,
that's definitely got to be
where I
a
just
thing.
am the second controller plugged in. It's just over the internet.
Yeah.
There's
And
usually
hey,
a way to do that.
Hey, if you're writing your email right now because of what we said before, and I just found that out, stop writing your email. Okay, Looking at you, listener. All right, don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. You should write us an email, please.
We're so lonely.
Okay, we're so lonely. Okay, so they have a funny thing with the gameplay too, with verticality. So there's like these stairs, and there's actually like, and I know it's kind of weird to mention this in a, like, oh yeah, duh, the game's like higher or lower, but the isometric like viewpoint, it's like stairs that go up. So you're on like one higher tiered level. I wouldn't even call it a story. I'd call it like maybe 5 feet in game higher. But your spells miss because of the height, which I thought was interesting.
So the height does matter.
It does matter. And also it matters for you too. If someone's shooting arrows and you go under them, you can, which I thought was kind of neat. I'm like, oh, they actually thought about, like, I don't know if this was something that just accidentally happened with their engine or if they thought about it. Another thing is friendly fire. There is no friendly fire. So enemies don't hit each other, and then you can't hit your allies. Now, I do think it would be cool if they had it on. Like,
I think it's cool when enemies can friendly fire. I don't like it when we can friendly fire.
I kind of think it should be funny with both, because there's one point where you finally adventure with like a companion for a very small amount of time, and he's like this elf archer dude, and he was so annoying. Like, I wanted to shoot him with a fireball so bad. But yeah, I just also wanted to see what would happen. So the engine supports both solo and multiplayer, and that so you can do either 4 players with a multi-tap. Remember the multi-tap?
Oh boy, do I.
Dude, pour one out for the multi-tap. I completely forgot about that adapter, and I had one, and I loved it. And or you could use the PS2's network adapter, and then although, like, my notes here, right, the servers are closed. Yeah, of course they're closed. It's like 20-something years old. I played in the emulator. Again, don't be ashamed to emulate this. It's 22 years old. I wouldn't feel guilty about emulating it. I really, really want good old games to maybe get a PC version of this going. Like, because they did that with Dark Alliance 1 and 2. Did you know that?
Yeah.
But the problem is, the Dark Alliance 1 and 2, each one is like $40 on Steam. It's crazy.
That is too many bucks. They did something similar with the Marvel ones, too, the Ultimate Alliance games, where they like put out like sort of shoddy ports and then charged like $80 for them or something crazy like that, where you're just like, these games are 25 years old. These ports are not good, and you want more than full. Like, what?
Yeah, the games are not worth $40 a piece. I would say $20 a piece is like perfect, and then they go on sale for 10, and then everyone gets them for $10.
Yeah,
that's what I want. But yeah, there's no way to play them. I'm hoping someone remakes these, because there's Champions of Norrath and Champions Return to Arms, so there's like 2 games there. Honestly, if they did a together pack and charged $40, that would make sense.
Yeah,
if you got both games together. But Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 1 and Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, $40 each on Steam. And they're both wishlisted by me because I want to check on the prices of them, and they don't go on sale that often.
I wonder, sometimes games like that don't go on sale very often, I'm like, I feel like it's because the rights are like in question and nobody actually has control over the price. It's just
like,
still being sold. Yeah. It's like, we don't know where the money's going, and the person or people in control of the price like don't have that job anymore, and nobody was ever given that. And so they just never go on sale.
Yeah, it's like, what is even happening here?
Yeah. There is a Reddit thread here of somebody 9 months ago who claims to have reverse engineered the Champions of Norrath network protocol, and it is playable online, probably with some like patches on the emulator.
Well, hey, in Tyler's 2 minutes of research, he beat my 10 minutes of research. So good for you, Tyler.
So I don't know how it works. It's just a Reddit thread. They have a Discord server.
We should try it.
But it seems like maybe, I think a lot of these older PS2 games do have sort of not quite the same way Insignia like has remade Xbox Live for the original Xbox. But they do, a lot of these games have like projects that have brought them back in one form or another. So,
all right, we should play it. We should try it
after I buy a legal copy of the game, of course.
Yeah, obviously everyone's buying legal copies. Don't be ashamed to emulate it. I didn't say pirate it.
No,
I said
it's easy to rip a disc of a PS2 game. You just put it in your computer. You can play with PCSX2. You could just drop a PS2 disc in your computer and play games straight off.
Everyone's got a disc drive, right? In 2026.
We all have disc drives for playing our PS2 games.
We all have CD disc drives and DVD disc drives in our home computers. Fun. Okay.
I think my desktop doesn't even have bays for 5.25-inch drives anymore.
Yeah, I'm looking at my new case that I got, my NZXT case. There's no bays, period. There's no
just
place.
Nothing. It's just hard drives
all the way down. The bays are all in the back side, and the front is just like glass.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it. Okay. So the one other defining feature, not other, there's more. The one defining feature that I really like is the dungeons are actually randomly generated. Did you know that?
That's cool.
Yeah, this is a
I like
2000.
games when games do this.
Yeah, 2004. So everything's a fresh layout. So the dungeons aren't laid out the same. There's item drops, so that makes it so there's some more replayability there. I will say the randomness is kind of funny because at times it just looks really shoddy. Like you'll just see randomly out in the dark a light in the middle of like a room with a light, but the rest of it's surrounded by stone. You know, like it's not perfect. One thing I should mention that I just saw today because I got farther into Act 2 this morning. Also, morning games, a vibe, right?
Waking up early playing video games.
Waking up early and playing video games is a vibe. I played Act 2 and they don't have lanterns in the caves. They have lightning bugs, like the light, which I just think is a fun little detail that they did. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Okay. It's random dungeons. They also have some pretty good character customization. Like you can change the appearance of your character pretty extensively in the like opening part of it. You know, you can change the way they look and stuff. You can also, the skill trees, they actually are ways to like, they're kind of in depth, like way more in depth than I thought they would be. Like the spell tracker for wizards, for example, there's like a left track, which is like frost magic. There's a middle track, which is like regenerating your magic and your health. The right track is like lightning damage. You don't unlock fire spells until level 15.
Oh, wow.
So you have to
punch in the cheat code to get to level 20.
Exactly. That's exactly why I did that, because I wanted to get the fire spells. And it's like, so you kind of got to make a choice between the two to like go through. And then there's also poison damage, the standard fare, right? And then the enemies, it's funny because the enemies will get spells before you for like poison and fire and stuff. So you can kind of like be like, oh, I want to get that. You see it ahead of time and then you look in the skill tree to find it on there and stuff, which is cool. But it's the build, again, no respecking is kind of a bummer. I get why they didn't do it. It's 2004 and it's on the PlayStation 2. But I really think that's kind of a feature to them, not a bug. Like,
yeah,
you have to play it multiple times to get.
I get the
unlocked.
feeling that the lack of respecking in games is more of a design choice than like a technical limitation. I feel like it's we want to feel like your choices matter here, and so you can make mistakes, and the remedy for making a mistake is, I guess, you start the game over and play again with your new knowledge. And it's like, that's cool. I understand. I'm not going to play this game twice, so let me experiment in my one playthrough, please.
Yeah, please let me experiment in my one playthrough. The one thing also about this as well is the think about other games we've played together. Guild Wars Reforged doesn't have respecking until later in the game, right?
You could do it right away. You could just have to respec in town.
In town?
Yeah, it did not have respecking when the game first came out. I remember there being like it was like a separate, not currency is not really the right word, but there was like a downgrading thing that like you could only do it so much, but you could kind of respec. And I don't know if you were able to like eventually earn more opportunities to like change your specs around. But these days, the original Guild Wars is just move your stuff around. No one cares.
That's good. Okay, because yeah, I was thinking about games like respecking like that, and that's something that you really want to have.
Yeah, well, because Guild Wars is also all about building like your build of your 8 skills, and so like locking yourself out of other skills that you didn't spec into is like kind of a bummer. When it's like, we should be experimenting with all of this stuff, so you pick your 8 skills and then lay out your attribute points to like match those skills, right? So that you're never locked out of anything.
Yeah, true. Okay, real quick also, while we're in the gameplay chunk again, I want to give a shout out to this worthplaying.com website. Have you ever gone here before?
No, I've not.
It actually like talks about older games and gives you some like perks of what to play. And some of the perks are funny. Like, for example, it says import and download characters via memory card. I'm like, okay, is that a feature?
Okay, feature, sure, okay. Bud.
Yeah, but
can save the game. Use a controller to move around.
Yeah, it does talk about how there are like they does have the camera control and stuff on there too, which you can rotate the camera and you can zoom in the camera, which is something I neglected to put in my script, but it is something that's helpful because there are times where you'd be fighting a boss and you're like, this camera angle is weird and I need to move it. So yeah, it does the Mario 64 on you, but you can actually move it out of the way. So that's the gameplay part of it. The plot wise, I should preface the plot by saying I don't know anything about the story of EverQuest. I think that's pretty clear, but the story of Champions of Norrath, I do know, thanks to online articles, is it's set several hundred years before the MMO.
Okay. So they're not too worried about messing things up with the storyline that's going on in the MMO.
Exactly. It's not going to affect it at all. Maybe we could get some EverQuest lore historians who want to jump in and explain what's going on to us over email. They can do that at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com or talk about it in Discord. But the story is you're summoned by a wood elf king in this city called Kelethin that's under siege by goblins and orcs. And it's weird because goblins and orcs don't normally work together. What's going on? This could threaten the whole realm, right? This it's crazy.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Exactly, just like that. Ghostbusters references are always welcome on this podcast. And so you have to be the champion of Norrath. That's the title of the game. You're their champion that's going to solve this problem and figure out what's going on. And it's going to take you all throughout Norrath. And I think at some point, like later in the game, you even get to go to different planes, you know?
Planes of Power.
Planes of Existence.
Wasn't Planes of Power like an expansion for EverQuest?
That might be it. That
yes,
sounds right.
I nailed it.
Yeah.
The 4th expansion.
So there, I did read a review from 2004 on the game. It was a gamer. It's a GameRevolution.com review, and the reviewer's big gripe with the game was the story, which I get. But in 2004, if you were a fan of EverQuest, and you cared about the MMORPG lore, you probably would have expected this game to have a little more of an in-depth story. So, I get why the reviewer says that. But if you're a guy who's just I want to play an action RPG on my PlayStation 2, probably not listening to the story.
We're here to rip and tear.
Yeah, exactly. There is what's surprising to me, it's voice acted.
That's cool.
So it's a little delayed because of, I don't know if it was the emulator that was making it delayed, but when the text would load in, you'd have to wait a second and then the voice would start.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, worthplaying.com said it has engrossing fantasy storylines set hundreds of years before the current EverQuest PC game. Players do not need to be familiar with EverQuest lore to enjoy the game, which I thought was just funny. Yeah, because the story is irrelevant. You don't need to be.
I also imagine that the audience for playing an action RPG on PS2, there's not a heavy overlap with the audience of folks playing EverQuest on a PC. Right?
Yeah.
Those are two, especially in the mid 2000s. Those are two different audiences.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I want to mention this too. I think it's Christopher Avallone. Does that sound? Yeah, that's who was a designer on this game.
That is a name I recognize.
And they do comic books too.
Okay.
So I think the story, what's weird is, so I was looking online for just what's the plot of this game so I can get an overall, just spoil it for me. I don't care, right? And I know there's 3 main big bads. There's that orc chief that I talked about, and then there's a vampire that I'm talking about right now in my part of Act 2 of the game. And then there's someone else. And so I think the story, if you're paying attention to it, is cohesive, But
yeah, it checks the box, meets the requirements, does not contradict itself. Yeah.
But I think the nature of this game is you are just doing one thing to move on to the next thing. You're doing one thing so you can hack and slash your way to the next thing. It's very linear. Don't expect any twists and turns or anything like that. Very similar to Dark Alliance. Speaking of which, I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to give you my quick synopsis of this, which is you're fighting these orcs and these goblins, and then you learn there's a conspiracy going on where all the big bads are getting together, and that sounds a lot like Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, doesn't it, Tyler?
It sure does.
So I don't think Snowblind Studios was trying to reinvent the wheel narratively with what they were doing, but I get it because their goal probably, and this is mostly speculation, is we need to get all of EverQuest's worlds packed into one game. How do we do that? And how we do that is a very similar Dark Alliance-esque story just in Norrath. And that's what they did. And so I respect it. I think it's fine. It's really cool that it's voice acted. Not expecting that. And there's these in-game cinematics, so it's still in-engine, and you'll cut over to this. The orc Chief, I'm like, this guy's like monologuing right now. He's
You
going
sly
for it.
dog.
He's acting right now.
I wonder if there's any
I love it.
good if there's any actors that like we recognize from it.
Probably. I should have looked that up. I didn't
I'm
even
looking
think
it
about
up
that.
right now.
Yeah, but I really dug it. While you look that up, I'm gonna go into the development section, which is very short.
Malcolm
okay?
McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell's in it?
Yeah.
I did find out, and this might be spoiler territory to an almost 22-year-old game, one of the narrators is actually one of the antagonists, which I think is kind of cool.
Spoilers.
So, yeah. All right, so development-wise, there's not a lot of development. I don't even think there's development sections on, like, Worth Playing, Wikipedia, all the places I normally look, like, and all the footnotes I look at in the Wikipedia articles, try to find, like, more stuff, like, dig a little deeper. I couldn't find anything on the actual development of this game, so I just have a list of facts of why this was developed. Okay, are you ready, Tyler?
I always wonder when it comes to that, when there's no stories, like it's like maybe nobody cares and nobody cared to ask. I'm like, was the development of this just like extremely smooth? And they were just like, yeah, we're just doing Dark Alliance 2, but with slap some Norrath on it.
Yeah, I mean, so here's what they did. So it's developed by Snowblind Studios. Sony hired Snowblind after the success of Dark Alliance, right? Champions of Norrath used a modified version of the Dark Alliance engine.
Makes sense.
So, like, yeah, maybe they already knew what they were doing.
Why
They're like, we're just
reinvent the
gonna
wheel?
add these
You got an
features.
engine that works, use it.
I'm only mentioning this because it's local. Snowblind Studios was located in Kirkland, Washington, which is near me. So they are in the same state as me.
The very first Costco.
Yeah, that's right.
The Kirkland of Kirkland signature.
Yeah. And then it also, like, yeah, so this actually is just a bunch of baloney right there that I just left in on accident and forgot to delete. So we're going to ignore that. So while the narrative wasn't framed or famed for its, like, depth compared to, like, a traditional RPG, it's very much got the gameplay down. And I think most of us, this is the big debate, right? Like, what's more important? Is it gameplay or plot, or characters? And I think in the essence of a video game, we've kind of slowly made the argument over the course of this that is the game loop fun? Then the gameplay is what you want, right? And the story should elevate that gameplay, right? That's kind of what we're there for. I think that in Champions of Norrath, the gameplay is way more improved than Dark Alliance, and it's really fun, and that's why it's like a nostalgic game for so many people. Like, this is very much something where if you talk to someone who had a PlayStation 2 and you're like Champions of Norrath, and they perk up, it's an exciting thing for them to play, and that's what this game's got going for it. So as far as the legacy stands, it's definitely a PS2 nostalgia gem. I think it's a bummer that you can't really play it online unless you kind of like do what you just talked about, where you figure out how to play locally but online or using someone's Discord or something. If you want to play multiplayer, though, I think the best way would actually be to do it in person. Like,
Just
I think
get your friends together in real life.
Yeah. Like, I was just thinking how fun it would be if we got like two other people, you and I and two other people, and we got a PlayStation 2 and a multi-tap, and we're like, hey, we're just going to spend this weekend beating Champions of Norrath. Like, that would be kind of a fun weekend. That would be
pretty fun.
Yeah. So, like, that's something that's like really endearing to me about it. There is a sequel called Champions Return to Arms I mentioned earlier that came out in 2005, so only 1 year after. So maybe someday we'll get there. Everyone knows I have like a soft spot in my heart for these games because of how I mentioned like Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance was my first foray into like Dungeons and Dragons lore, and I imagine that Champions of Norrath was someone's first foray into EverQuest, which is cool. Maybe someone played Champions of Norrath, really dug it, and some reason this story that everyone thought wasn't great, they actually really connected to, and then it made them want to go play EverQuest, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I hope that happened with someone. But yeah, that's Champions of Norrath. I mean, I'm kind of bummed I can't talk more about the plot and where it's going. I just know that where I'm at in the story, where I left off, Orc Chieftain chased him into the underworld. Now there's a vampire. I probably am going to have to fight. But before I can do that, I got to solve this ant problem. Serious ant problem. So,
another notable member of the voice cast that I found here is Cam Clark, who you may recognize as the voice of Liquid Snake from the original Metal Gear Solid.
Really?
Yeah. And I guess also
Snake.
Master Miller in that game because, spoilers.
Oh, man. Wow. You're just going to spoil that? Just hit it super hard right now on the spoilers?
Metal Gear Solid, though.
Am I gonna have to cut that out?
I don't know.
I
Game's
don't think I will.
30 years old.
30 years old game. 30 years old? 30-year-old game.
30 years old, 30
Oh.
years old game. I think you could say it either way.
We could talk about it this way, though, in that we brought it up recently because there's this whole Corey in the house thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Where
The second best game on DS.
the second best game in the
Sorry,
world
of all time, period. Right behind Expedition 33, right ahead of Metal Gear Solid 3.
is Corey in the house for
Yeah.
Nintendo DS. That's
Yeah.
a news story if people aren't aware of what's happening. And it made us and our friend group start talking about Metal Gear Solid, and now we're trying to get someone else to play Metal Gear Solid so Tyler and I can watch this time.
I know. It's so fun to just like to watch other people play Metal Gear.
Oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I think I would play through them again. If I ever started like streaming seriously, I would play through them again at some point because it's just fun to watch.
They're
It's
so
so
fun.
ridiculous.
The way they take themselves so seriously, but just to the point where it's like I can take real lessons away from the story. Like the story is not a joke throwaway story, but there's so much weird, ridiculous stuff that happens within that it's like hard not to laugh a lot too, you know?
Oh yeah, man. It's great. I just when we started playing it together and Revolver Ocelot starts flipping his guns around for way too long of a time, I was like, I'm in. I'm locked into this whole series now at this point. It's so good. Okay.
Join for the Revolver Ocelot flipping his guns around. Stay for the commentary on AI and information control and
and how much it like kind of mildly predicted things that have happened now, which is really weird to say. But yep, Metal Gear Solid.
Welcome to Codex History of Metal Gear Solid.
Although we didn't get the cow robots.
That's true. Maybe we'll get more about that. We need to play the Raiden one, Metal Gear Rising. Revengeance. Yeah, because there might be more cow Metal Gears in that. I bet there are.
Okay, there probably are. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And by talk about that, I mean we'll play that, but we'll talk about it at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's our Champions of Norrath episode, though. Tyler, what you been playing?
I've been playing 3, I guess since our last episode, because we took last week off. So I did finish Pokemon Legends. I don't know if I talked about that on here.
No.
Pokemon Legends ZA. I enjoyed it. I think I've said this already. The gameplay is very cool. There's a lot there that could be expanded on, I think. With the things about like positioning seems to matter. There's like AoE spells and things like that, which is really fun when you get into these multi Pokemon battles. That stuff is cool. I don't think there's quite enough there. It's like they're still prototyping it. It feels like if they put out a sequel with that same battle system but heavily expanded and like streamlined and made better, we could have a really cool like almost pseudo MMO kind of battle system in a Pokemon game. As it stands now, it's still kind of a turn-based with like some real-time elements. But I enjoyed that. I finished the story in that. Probably not going to keep going on it. Maybe I'll come back to it to like try to catch all the Pokemon in the different wild zones. That's kind of fun and relaxing. Other than that, I did start up Metroid Prime 4, put a couple hours into that. Really digging it so far. I know the main complaint that people have about the Marine that seems to be following you around from the beginning, and he's kind of annoying. I agree. I like, for me, Metroid is about like being alone in wherever place you are, unraveling the mystery on your own, and like to have this other guy around here like pointing at things and telling you how to solve puzzles is a little bit annoying. I don't know if it gets better.
I wonder if he dies, and then you're like, "Oh, my tutorial guy's gone."
Yeah, maybe. I have a couple hours in, so.
Is he Navi-esque? Is he kind of like the fairy Navi?
Kinda, yeah. He's like sort of in your earpiece a lot of the time, but then also he will like show up and you'll have to like guard him while he does stuff, and that's kind of frustrating. You seem very animated.
I just said Navi, and I thought of something that I needed to talk to you about. Did you see? There's gonna be an Ocarina of Time final boss battle Lego set.
No.
With a Ganon that turns into the giant monster.
Ganondorf that turns into Ganon?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be a big. It's not really expensive either. It's like, I mean, it's $130, which is, I'm saying, not expensive.
It's not Lego expensive. But
it's not Lego expensive, because if you saw the Pokemon one, is $650. So it's not like that. Yeah. But I just forgot to tell you, because I was like, they just announced them. They're doing. So there's an Eevee, there's a Pikachu, and then the $650 one is the 3 final evolutions of the starters of Bulbasaur, Charizard, or Venusaur,
Blastoise,
Charizard, and Blastoise, not Venusaur.
It doesn't seem very big though. Does this really seem?
It's big.
6,800
It's like
pieces. Okay.
it's tall, yeah, and then it can kind of go into different pieces.
I need
and
a
stuff.
banana
And if
for
you-
scale, I think.
Yeah, you need to get a banana for scale. That's a good point. I got really excited.
Wow. Okay,
I
there's
realized,
a human for scale in the picture on the website, and it does look extremely large. Okay.
yeah,
cool.
we haven't talked about this yet though, and I meant to talk to you about it the moment I saw the new set because the Great Deku Tree was like a cool idea for a set. I didn't buy it because I was like, I don't know, it's not really doing it for me. I just got the D&D set, and now I'm like, I'll probably get that Ganondorf set though because it's really cool. Because also there's a Ganondorf minifig, which is sick.
That sounds awesome.
You know?
The final battle, 129.99. Wow, that's cool. This is the kind of stuff that I would build as an 8-year-old out of just pieces. I was like building Ganon stuff. I had a little guy that was Link for me, you know, when I was playing with my Legos when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, dude. I just wanted to tell you that if you want to live it up, if you want to live your truth.
This is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, man. But yeah, I'm sorry. That's why I got all excited on the camera because I said Navi and then I was like, we haven't talked about this set yet.
Yeah.
I forgot. Oh, yeah. So
Well,
that's good though, man.
Outside of
ZA.
Yeah, finish ZA, put some time into Prime. I'm saving it because we're taking a trip. And yeah, gonna be on a long plane flight, and so I want something to play on plane flight. So I'm kind of saving the Metroid for the plane flight. But I have also put a few hours into Star Wars Outlaws, which I am enjoying quite a bit. I'm not sure what all they've added since it came out, because I know when it first came out, people were kind of like, this is sort of neat, but it's like missing some sort of essential things that games like this should just have. And it's been a year, and as I understand it, they added a lot of those things. Like I think you couldn't like mark things on the map or something, like stuff like that, like little things that open
World
sort of,
games have.
Yeah. That all just add up. Like it was missing all these little things that when you add them all up, you're just like, what are we doing here? But a year later, they seem to have added a lot of that stuff back in. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I also only paid like $8 for it in the Steam sale. So like if this is all the time I get out of it, yeah,
it's also on Game
fine.
Pass.
It is also on Game Pass. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, and it feels a little bit. It's like open world, but also the gameplay feels like Uncharted meets Star Wars a little bit, with a little bit more sneaking around than Uncharted has. So yeah, having a good time with it. What have you been playing?
So I was down like earlier this week. Like
Yeah.
Sick, bad. Like this is me recovering. I'm almost full percentage again. And I played some Champions of Norrath, obviously, for this, but I really haven't been playing a lot. I jumped in and played, I forgot to mention this last week, but we have a group of friends and we play Party Animals with. Do you remember Party Animals?
Yeah.
Party Animals added a fishing mode where you just go fishing.
That's just a Mike Coletta mode.
Exactly. And you just chill and you just fish, and economics wise, it's not great. Like you're like, I would say you sell your fish for 2 little dog bones and bait costs 1 little dog bone. So it's like, you're not
That's
really
100%
making a lot of
return
money
on an investment, dude. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
but the expense, you just have to grind it out. And so I've been playing that. They had an ice fishing though, which is fun. So we've been playing that together late at night as kind of like a wind down thing with our friends. Because it's, I mean, we've talked about this a million times on the show, but this is just how I socialize now, is I just play games with people online. That's how I catch up with my brother. It's how I catch up with all my friends from college. Like I just play games online with friends. And sometimes you want a game where you can literally just hang out. And that's what
and the
Party
game
Animals
doesn't
fishing
matter
is.
as much
Yeah.
as the just like we're chilling. Yeah.
And that's what it was. And so been doing that. And then I haven't really played a lot of games other than that though. I am also going to bring Metroid Prime 4 and my Switch with me. So Tyler and I are going on a trip together, but we're flying separately because we're both coming from 2 different places. But so I'll have my Switch with me as well. So that's my plan, is to have Metroid Prime 4 on the flight. Probably going to do it on the flight home because I got a red-eye flight on the way there and I want to try to sleep.
Yeah,
I'm going to try.
I have we arrive at a similar time too. So I also have a red eye, and I'm like, I can't sleep very well on planes. So I'm like, I would like to have something to do when I inevitably give up on trying to sleep on the plane. So I'll probably play some of it on the way there, but I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try to sleep.
This is just friendship talk now. We're not really, I know we're
Yeah.
podcasting, but we're leaving it on. I got earplugs that Katie got me for Christmas, like fancy earplugs. Like cancel all the sound or whatever. Ooh. So I'm gonna wear those and try to sleep. But yeah,
Okay.
I haven't really played a lot of games, honestly. I am thinking about playing Outlaws to the point where I downloaded it, but then I remembered as I was downloading Outlaws today that I haven't played. I played Fallen Order, but I never played Jedi Survivor.
Oh,
so I'm like,
I think
maybe I play that.
Yeah, that's been updated too because it had some like optimization problems for a while. I think it's better now.
So I might give that a go. I'm kind of in the mood for a single player game. I was playing The Witcher 3 for a bit and fell off, and just I mean, because the hard part is like we do this podcast for fun. We do, and I'm still having fun. I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
But we spend time playing games for the podcast that we don't get to play other games that much. So it's more important to me to like try to branch out more recently, which is what I'm doing. But yeah, anyway, the point of this is we might have an episode next week. We might not. It kind of depends on what we get done in time before we have to leave, because we are both going to be gone next week. So we'll see what happens. But yeah. So with that, if you want to support the podcast, tell your friends about us. First thing foremost, you could review us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You could follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on our social stuff. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. The Facebook page is getting the exact same videos now as all the other pages, but I don't think Zuckerberg is showing it to anybody. I think he's got a slight against us. I think he doesn't like that we're not talking about Farmville on Facebook circa 2010. So he wants to talk about
he's still living in the past.
He is living in the past. So that's on there if you want to follow along there. But other than that, I think that's kind of it for the day. Tyler, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, sure. I will say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, everybody.